Sitting across the border over here, watching the events unfold in Pakistan this week, it seemed like, in a sense, the ultimate irony where on the one hand, there has been this uniting in grief, mourning the victims of the Peshawar attack, the horror of that attack not lost on anybody anywhere in the world, certainly not in India as well. And on the other hand, in spite of statements from the Pakistani leadership on no good terrorists, bad terrorists, seeing this kind of a decision today when they are trying to put Lakhvi back in prison for the maintenance of public order, do you think these are charges that can stick? I mean, this is sort of pointing to a deeper, complex problem.
Well, in the past, we have encountered these difficulties in getting evidence and the police putting together a case that that the court can consider sufficient for a judgment, finding them guilty of charges, but that hasn't happened. And as the reason may be lack of evidence, or as is mentioned, there have been cases where judges have been threatened, the police has been threatened, and others. And we cannot deny that that is an atmosphere in which such cases get tried, and that can actually impact on the efficiency with which such cases are heard. But I think what has happened on December the 16th is a watershed movement. And I was in India when it happened, and I was deeply moved by India's reaction to this horrible tragedy, which, as you said, has struck everybody in the world as horrific. And also the sentiment in Pakistan, of course, has been, the whole country is traumatized by it. And there's every appearance that there is a renewed or new absolute determination not to make any discrimination between good and bad extremists, or to think in terms of useful and not useful organizations. And to the extent that this has been the case, it has done the country no good. And I think there is a whole lot of introspection, agonizing reappraisal, discussion on this, on these quarters, on this subject.
Right, within Pakistan.
And I do hope that we will now enter into a new era in which none of these organizations can hope to find any kind of favor or
space, rather. Sambit Patra, I want to bring this to you. We heard the Prime Minister in Parliament. The External Affairs Minister also made a statement saying that they'd like to see Pakistan reverse this decision. The Pakistan government, of course, says the judiciary is taking its own decisions and will take its own course. It's not going to be able to influence it. But what do you make of the very real threat that many of these judges have faced? In fact, just as we sat down, Ajay Shukla was also mentioning that one of the prosecutors in this case was killed for trying these cases. How do you see those realities also play out? Pakistan today has put him back in jail. He will be there for another 3 months.
After hearing this, I'm reminded of what Hillary Clinton once said about Pakistan, that if you keep snakes in your backyard, then be sure that one day the snakes would bite you. And that's what is happening. Finally, the pet is biting the masters today, and that's why the masters are horrified. One has to remember over here that if the judges are not safe, if the prosecution is not safe, if no one is safe, if the witness is not safe, then this is what is a classical definition of a failed state. A failed state is first and foremost one where justice is not safe. And today, by all counts, we see that justice is not safe in Pakistan, if that be it. But secondly, I believe the most important issue is it's not that there's lack of evidence as far as the trial of this case is concerned. There's always a lack of intent over here. We had seen that the slow pace that the whole case has proceeded for all these 6 years, and the 7 people have not been convicted as yet, though we have already hanged the perpetrator. And the second thing that Mr. Ashraf was speaking about was a watershed, that the 16th December event has acted as a watershed. But I do not agree with Mr. Ashraf over here. because we had seen how Benazir Bhutto was assassinated. Even then we felt that this was a watershed movement and Pakistan would learn its lessons. But ironically that has not happened.
What is the reason to sort of have a little faith that this will indeed change things for Pakistan? I think, Ajay, I want to bring this to you because the kind of outpouring we have been seeing from across the world to this attack, the Pakistanis themselves are talking of a paradigm shift in the war on terror, the way they see it after this Peshawar attack. Should we in India sort of feel comforted that they have actually finally seen the light in a manner of speaking, or do you think that it's going to sort of fumble along further from here?
Well, to start off with, what they're talking about in terms of no good terrorists and bad terrorists is largely amongst the terrorist groups in the Northwest Frontier Province, what is now called Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the tribal areas. They have not yet differentiated between the Punjabi terrorist groups which are directed against India, which are still good terrorists, and the groups that are fighting the Pakistani state in Northwest. And it would be completely unrealistic also at this point in time to expect them to get up and suddenly start targeting. The process, if this mind shift is taking place, it will be a slower process. It will play out over a long period of time, and we should be alert for signs of it. But that having been said, it has to be, we have to be fair to the government of Pakistan as well. We immediately blamed them for the release on bail of Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi. And the Pakistani state was actually quick to detain him once again under the maintenance of public order and put him away for another 3 months. The fact is that the Pakistani state has little control over the judiciary. The judiciary in Pakistan is one of their most retrograde and conservative elements that is strongly supportive of militancy and terrorism also. It's the most retrograde institution in Pakistan. So I think that you're seeing over here a bit of a tussle between the Pakistani state and the judiciary, and you know, the Pakistani state also has been saying India has not provided evidence for, you know, that can stand up.
Well, that's a position that's been countered point by point by the government over here.
No, I think we've countered it wrong. I think we should not be providing evidence. It is for Pakistan to provide the evidence. This is a Pakistani citizen engaging in terrorist activities from Pakistani soil. It is completely unrealistic to ask India to provide the evidence.
All right.